Hey everyone, so today I'm going to be giving a little bit of a brief update on what I got last weekend at Record Store Day 2017. This is technically my 6th year doing this. I do kind of have an interesting story tying all these together because I took a couple of risks this time around that may or may not have paid off. So basically every year I've been doing this, I've gone to Lose Records in Encinitas, which I talked about a little bit more in my month of obsessive crate digging series I've been uploading over the past couple of weeks. Strongly recommend you guys watch that. Might link one of those in the end card. They actually have a really cool system that's really efficient for Record Store Day. They basically put all their records like in the back wall, and then they give everyone a number, sort of like in the same way you would for I don't know if you're going to In-N-Out or some kind of fast food restaurant. You can't get more than 5 records, you can't get more than 1 copy of a record, just as a good way of kind of weeding out some of those 10th layer of hell occupying people who would sell that stuff on eBay. And I didn't do it this year, mostly because for the last couple years I've lived in a couple towns north of there, and there's one that actually just opened up a couple of miles away from me called Schoolyard Records, which despite what I'm going to be talking about, I do definitely recommend. They're more of like a hip-hop leaning record store, a lot of really good used stuff. So again, they just opened up over the past year, so this year they were having their first Record Store Day. I thought that would be a nice little thing to be a part of, you know? So since over the past year or so, I've been used to taking really long walks. That morning I decided to walk 2 miles over to Schoolyard Records, and I learned the hard way that the questions, do you do Record Store Day, and do you ship in Record Store Day releases, are very different questions, because they had a lot of great discounts, some performances going on later that day, but I couldn't get that Danny Brown 10-inch. But you know, I'm not putting any of that on them. It was a simple miscommunication on my part. I probably should have been a little more specific. And I decided to get a couple of records there anyway. I got a couple of Jethro Tull records here for pretty cheap. They actually happened to be in the same sleeve, but he gave it to me for the price of one anyway. That's awesome of him. And also in the 7 inches, I didn't even know they had a 7-inch of this, but I found a copy of Panic at the Disco's That Green Gentleman, Things Have Changed, backed by When the Day Met the Night. For those guys who don't know, Pretty Odd is by far my favorite Panic at the Disco album, so this was an incredible find for me that I wasn't even expecting. And from what I gather, this 7-inch on Discogs is actually like really rare and sought after. Like, I think the cheapest sold was like $12, $13 or something like that, even not in mint condition. So yeah, sort of like a spiritual Record Store Day release, I suppose. But here's the thing. So, in most other situations, this would be the part where I'm just like, oh well, I'm just gonna drive back to my house and try the record store a couple cities down from me. However, like I said, I walked. And not only that, this record store opened at around noon, a good amount later than a lot of other record stores were opening that day, which meant that I ended up sprinting another 2 miles plus to Spin Records in Carlsbad Village, another good place. And they did have a couple of things, but you know, if you go to a record store on Record Store Day past like an hour after they open, your chances are pretty slim. Now, like with every year, I printed out a short list of releases, which I'm going to be showing you at the end of this, just, you know, not spoil any of the records I'm going to be showing you. And I ended up getting 2 releases at Spin. So first off was actually one I was really looking forward to, Red Hot Chili Peppers Go Robot, this great freaking 12-inch picture disc with this on the B-side, The Dreams of Samurai, but they're both live versions. Now, being a picture disc, it's not optimal sound quality, but, you know, I feel like there's a little bit of give and take there, and it does still sound really good. The only thing I've noticed is that in every live Red Hot Chili Peppers performance I've heard and stuff, since I haven't actually seen them live, that's kind of a bucket list thing, but from what I've seen, Anthony's voice tends to go a lot deeper than on the studio versions. Does anyone else notice that? But yeah, it's nice to see that after like 35 years, they can still pack a lot of live energy into some of this stuff. Like, the version of Go Robot here goes on for like 5 minutes and has this extended solo at the end. You know that little jam at the end of it that you wish you would go on a little bit longer? It does go on a little bit longer, and it's also topped off with a fantastic solo from Josh. The kind of solo that would kind of convert anyone that doubts his skills in the band, even if he employs them a little bit more subtly than John would. But yeah, that was one of my most anticipated ones, and just because I felt like I shouldn't go away from there with only one release, I decided to also get this 12-inch of Spoon's Hot Thoughts single. I'm not even sure if I would have gotten it. I'm not usually a fan of, 12-inch singles where it's just like one or two songs and they decided to put it on this anyway just to make it more expensive. But I am a big fan of this song. I haven't checked out the album yet. I'm really looking forward to that. I also really like the sort of simple painting on the cover art here. Really nice. And I feel like maybe I mostly got this over the Grouplove EP because I recently got around to Kill the Moonlight, an older Spoon album, and thought that was fantastic. So I've just been in the mood of listening to some Spoon. They just have this knack of writing this perfect earworm that's like so effortless that's like you should almost be mad at it. But so yeah, you got the regular version Hot Thoughts right here. You got a weird remix of it on the B-side, and another track, Love Letters, on the B-side too. Yeah, glad to have that. So yeah, I left Spin with these purchases, and afterwards I immediately called my mom and asked if she could pick me up and take me to Lose, as you do. Unfortunately, she was kind of on a trip for the weekend at the time, so I decided to go into peak millennial mode, and between limited record store day releases, I called an Uber for the very first time in my life. Actually went pretty well, but I felt so basic. But either way, I took that Uber back to my house, immediately drove right down to Lose, and of course, they had basically everything else I was looking for. They had this Run the Jewels sticker in front, which I'm definitely going to be sticking to my guitar case here. They had this download QR code, which I'm going to be looking a little bit more into. But more importantly, I got the two other major ones I was looking forward to. In contrast to those other two releases, which are more newer ones, these two go more into the roots of bands that I have a strong connection to from throughout my childhood and stuff. So first off, we got Santana live at Woodstock. So this is the first time that Santana's legendary Woodstock performance is being pressed on vinyl. I'm really surprised that this wasn't making any major music news headlines, because it's kind of one of those landmark performances in rock history. Didn't even have much music out. They were known to absolutely no one outside San Francisco, and then they just were one of the opening bands on Woodstock. Proof to any up-and-coming band out there thinking, oh, it's just a gig. In just one 45-minute set, these guys blew their career wide open in 1969, and without this, you wouldn't have Smooth. You wouldn't have Smooth. You wouldn't have America. You wouldn't have Into the Night. You wouldn't have that version of Fortunate Son with Scott Stapp on it. But no, seriously, this is the best of earlier, jammy, guitar shredding everywhere, full Latin rock. Santana. Now there are a couple songs with vocals. You got Evil Ways, you got the song Persuasion on the back, but it's mostly just an awesome instrumental session for the most part. Especially Soul Sacrifice is kind of a legendary song in that regard, with the drum solo in the middle. Inserts got this nice little summary of basically everything I said surrounding the background of this performance. Funny thing is that I was expecting this to be some kind of, box set priced $50 or something, but no, just a single disc at around $20. I gotta say, all the records I got today were pretty fairly priced, and I'm not sure if it's more part of the record stores, or the labels, or the band, or whatever. But either way, gotta extend some props there. And the last thing I got, I was anticipating this so hard, and with the last one, it didn't really make that many headlines and stuff, only I wasn't as surprised with this. But if you guys have been following this channel, you know I have a long history and connection to this band that no one else my age does, probably. The first Def Leppard EP. So this was being pressed on vinyl for the first time since its initial release in 1979, and you can tell that's their debut EP because they're going very literal and punish the band name here. Get it? I guess like a record player, but the leopard can't hear it. But seriously, they did an incredible job of recreating what I assume was the original packaging. You got kind of this DIY kind of font going on. Joe Elliott was called Zeph at one point. I'd like to know what that was referring to. Or Def Leppard fans out there, this was even before Rick Allen joined the band. You had Frank Noon over here, and I really want to know what he's up to now, because if you look at the insert here, kind of half insert, where there's like a portrait of the band, and it's like, you got Steve, you got Joe, you got Rick, you got Pete, who was on the first couple albums, but poor Frank Noon didn't really get his due. And it even says Frank Noon, courtesy of the next band, which I assume is the band he was in at the time, which is going to be the next one, to make it big. Oh boy, that alternate timeline. And you even got like the packaging here, which even says 33 1/3, despite that when I played it at 33 1/3, it ended up sounding really slow and like some blues rock band. But I'm not complaining about this pressing because they put it on like what I'm pretty sure is 180 grams. It's pretty heavy, pretty thick, and it sounds incredible considering these are some of their first recordings. And it's a really interesting kind of both sides of the equation thing you got going on here, because Ride Into the Sun and Get Your Rocks Off are like pretty basic, like hard rock songs that kind of showed off, I guess, more what they would do on like On Through the Night, and to an extent High and Dry. You know, they're pretty shallow, but they're fun. Then the overture on side 2, which also appears as a version on Through the Night, their debut album. This is full-on prog rock, and like I was saying before, I really want to see the alternate timeline where they followed through more on the overture than Get Your Rocks Off, because it's this like 7.5 minute prog rock thing with multiple sections and like these cryptic, almost mythological kind of lyrics. It's really weird in retrospect. But hey, these guys grew up in the same kind of scene as like Iron Maiden and stuff, so I guess it's not too outrageous at the time. I'm just so glad Lou still had a couple copies of this. So moving on to that list I was talking about, the only one in bold here that I didn't manage to get was Danny Brown's Ain't It Funny 10-inch, which I wasn't surprised by since, unlike everything else where they had like 4,000 or 5,000 copies, this one only had 1,300. Other ones that were just written down as like backups were like the Pink Floyd Interstellar Overdrive 12-inch single, the Rush Cygnus X1 12-inch EP, and the U2 Red Hill Mining Town picture disc, which I almost got at Lou's, but just the Santana one kind of edged it out there. So yeah, these are my purchases for Record Store Day 2017. Pose for the thumbnail. So yeah, what'd you guys get on Record Store Day? Do you think it's all a scam? Do you think it's price gouging the naive masses who don't know any better? Are you actually one of those Satan people who buys them on eBay or Discogs for $100 a piece afterwards, perpetuating the scalping culture that all actual music fans are trying to get rid of and support the independent companies that really need your help? Let me know in the comments, smash that like button. As they say, and I should hopefully have more actual reviews coming out soon, especially since, you know, they've been paid for. If you guys want to check out those recent vinyl videos I mentioned, end card there, or my Record Store Day thing from last year, that would be mentioned over there. Follow me on Twitter at Spin It Reviews for further updates, and I will see you guys on the next episode of Spin It Reviews. Woo!